So we take the hand and we turn it behind and spread the fingers and reposition. And what we're going to do here is we're gently just going to lean back and come forward, and lean back and come forward. Just allowing the wrist and the forearm and the fingers and the hand to stretch. Now, as I've repositioned again, I'm going to work in a circular motion. As you can see here, I'm rotating through the shoulder. My hips are helping as well. And we're oscillating through the wrist, allowing the muscles to stretch that wee bit further. And then we'll slowly bring the hand off. And then we'll go to the other side. We'll spread the fingers. We'll get the hand down onto the mat. And we'll start to work in that circular motion. We're going to work this exercise here for 30 seconds. And we're going to stretch the back of the hand. So we spread the fingers. And we push the back of the hand down onto the floor. And we straighten the arm through the elbow. And we start to move in a circular motion. Take your time. This will feel uncomfortable for many people initially, but as you practice it, it gets easier. And don't be pushing yourself through too much painful move. It shouldn't be painful. It should be discomfort, yes, especially if you're not used to doing it. But it shouldn't be painful. You shouldn't be hurting yourself. And we're going to do the exact same on the opposite side. So we press the hand in, the back of the hand's down on the mat, fingers are spread, the arms locked through the elbow, and we're rotating in a circular motion. So now we're going to stretch the shoulder and the pec or the chest on the left hand side. I get myself into the chest opener position, I readjust, and until I find my sweet spot, and then I use my right leg as a lever to allow me to generate more movement. I can intensify it further by placing my hand on the back of my head and using my elbow and using my right elbow and my right knee for leverage. And then we'll do exactly the same on the opposite side. I'll stretch my arm out, I'll spread my fingers, I'll rotate my body through, I'll slide my leg through, I'll start to feel and find the position and make sure I'm in the right position. I'll make any adjustments I need to, and then I'll start working deeper into the stretch. Continually assessing, feeling the whole movement from my fingertips all the way down the arm and across the body, and readjusting as and where I need to help obviously maximise the stretch, but also to make sure that I get the most from it. Okay, this is called the kneeling prayer stretch. I'm using the bench for assistance. My elbows are nice and wide. I've got my base and my knees, and my hands are in this kind of prayer position, sinking back. I've dropped my shoulders down, and I'm allowing my body, my upper body, my shoulders to sink as low towards the floor as possible. It's a very good stretch. Okay, so I've got a yoga block here. I'm lying over on my side, and I'm doing what we call thoracic rotations. So opening up my T-spine, getting that nice rotation across the upper thorax, and allowing the muscles along the side of my body, remember my hip, my oblique, my ribs, all the way up the side of my latissimus dorsi or my lats, which is the muscle that's just underneath your armpit, big muscle there, my shoulders, getting this lovely rotation, allowing my body to stretch off properly. Now we're going to work into a windmill. So you'll notice my palm's up, and I'm ensuring here that my fingertips stay on the mat. It took me months to get good at this. So if you're doing this for the first time, and your thoracic mobilities maybe not need some work, you might not be able to touch the floor here. I'm really trying to get my increase range of motion by focusing on pushing my shoulder down towards the mat. I'm going to swap to the other side, and we're going to do our thoracic rotations first. And now we're into windmills. The exact same movement, the exact same technique. Okay, so I'm using a rig. I've got my hands nice and wide, and I'm bringing my body round and through the hole. And I'm repositioning my head. My front foot's forward, my back foot's back. And I'm stretching down the side, the left hand side of my body. I'm going to do the exact same on the opposite side. If you notice on my approach, my hands up nice and high and I take an overhand grip. And then my bottom supporting hand's nice and low, so there's a decent space between the two of them. And I'm stretching on my right hand side, so my left foot's forward, my right foot's back, and I'll start by rotating myself in through the hole, as I'm doing here. And just to help to further improve the mobility, but also to warm myself into the end range. Okay, now we're going to go into a 90-90 stretch. This is hips. Mobilisation drill for the hips, and what we're essentially aiming to do is, as you rotate across from side to side, both legs are in a 90-degree angle. That's what you're aiming to do. If you notice, I had to reposition there. I just knew it wasn't right, and I'm adjusting again. I'm supporting myself on my hands, and I'm rotating from side to side. Now I'm coming up, so I feel a bit more comfortable now, and I'll rotate through. The way you do this is you contract your abs in the centre, and if you'll notice with my arms, I'm pulling, I'm squeezing there. At that point I'm squeezing, so you can't really see it, but there's a lot of tension in my arms. I'm trying to pull myself forward and pull myself through. So a bit more kind of advanced way of doing the 90-90 stretch. If your ankle mobility is going to determine whether you can get into this position or not. It took me time to do this. So a lot of people struggle with this because they don't have the right ankle mobility. So you can see my foot's tucked all the way under and it's cradle, and my hip's just sitting against it, and I'm extending through the hip to stretch off the thigh. So I've got this running all the way from the hip right down to the kneecap, and the thigh's getting a nice stretch. Now I'm going to come down gently a wee bit further down onto the elbow. If you've got a yoga cushion, a meditation cushion, yoga blocks or whatever, you can put that under your back just to give you a bit more safety. And now you'll see I've repositioned my foot. I've got my knee tucked in and my foot over, and I'm lying flat onto my back. There's a slight curve in my lower back, but that's normal just with the way I'm positioned. And I've got my arms positioned behind my head, and I'm reaching, but I'm also driving that hip through. If you're not mobile enough to be able to access each element of it in sequence properly and fully, do not try to come down onto the floor, because one, you're either going to get hurt, or two, you're going to get stuck. I'm going to come up and I'm going to get myself into shin box on the opposite side. So now I'm going to go into the quad stretch. I'm starting to warm myself up for getting deeper into the quad stretch. For a lot of people, this will be enough. So I've tucked my foot under, as you can see, and I'm just pushing my hip up, squeezing my bum cheek on my right glute, and allowing the quad to stretch. And now I'll bring myself down onto my opposite elbow. So the thigh that I'm stretching, opposite elbow. So that's the next progression. Putting something underneath your lower back for support, like a meditation cushion or a couple of yoga blocks, or even a roller, just will give you a wee bit of kind of peace of mind. And just to know it's there, feeling something on your back just helps you when you're trying to progress into these deeper ranges. Now I've repositioned my foot at the front. I've got my knee tucked in behind the ankle, and I'm straight down and on the floor, and I'm getting myself, adjusting myself. Okay, so now we're moving into pigeon, and I access pigeon well because I practice it. But what I'll have do is Colin will put a link to the tutorial, the pigeon tutorial, in one of the corners of this video. And if you can't access pigeon the way that I'm doing it at the moment, as in full pigeon, then go back and do the regressive exercises until you can get down into this nice opened pigeon position. Now I'm moving to the opposite side now. Now I'm a bit tighter on my left side than I am on my right. And if you notice, I'm oscillating as well, and that's my hip movement, going from side to side through the hips. And now I'm down onto the elbows. This just takes it into a deeper range. You'll notice with the back foot as well, I've got my toes tucked under. Okay, so I'm coming into a Cossack stretch. It's a Cossack squat. I'm using it as a stretch. And then as you can see, I'm pointing the toe and pulling the toe back. That's giving me more mobility and a deeper stretch. But that's warming me up for this as well. So I'm doing an internal rotation through the hip. My range is quite tight here, as you can see by the beginning. It's going to improve over time. It's not my ankle that's doing the work here, it's my hip. It might look like it's my ankle, but it's not. I'm rotating through the hip. I sink down into the squat. Your ankle mobility will determine whether you can get into this position or not. I'm leaning slightly forward, and I'm supporting myself on my hands. I'm getting a deeper stretch here by pointing and pulling back the toe, and now we're into an internal rotation through the hip. So I've got my hands in the prayer position. I'm pushing my elbows into my knees. I'm squeezing my knees into my elbows. I've got that nice neutral spine, as they're calling it. And I'm balancing down on this position. If this is uncomfortable, then put your hands on the floor like so. So I've got the back of my fingers, and now I'm on my fingertips. Like I'm working through different ranges here. I'm trying to get my ankles a wee bit more mobilised as well. I'm feeling through the ranges. I'm just adjusting as I go. I'm adjusting all the time. See, I adjusted my hands again there as well. I'm lifting the hands up a wee bit just so that I can get that full extension through the knee. And now I'm pinching the shoulder blades down and looking up. And now I'm adjusting again. Tucking the head under. And now we're starting to get deeper into the stretch now. Sometimes it can take me a minute and a half, 2 minutes sometimes to get myself ready and adjusted and properly mobilised to get into the stretch. As you can notice now, getting my palms closer to the floor. I'm readjusting again because I'm feeling the tension in the hamstrings. It's the top of the thigh, the back of the thigh. And I'm using slight knee bends now, just gently letting the knees bend. And now I'm just going to do a hang. And it's going to hang from this position.